Welcome into Countdown Daily, presented by IBM. I'm Prim Saripapat. We are here at the site of Super Bowl 47, New Orleans. Obviously no stranger to the NFL's most important game. This is the 10th time they are hosting the Super Bowl. And between these two gentlemen, 25 Super Bowls you guys have been to. We welcome in Jamison Hensley, AFC North blogger for ESPN.com. And all the way to the left, NFC West blogger Mike Sandeau. So heading into this Sunday, plenty of storylines here. At the top, Ray Lewis saying he's going to hang up his cleats. After 17 seasons, he will be going for his second Super Bowl championship. So Jamison, let's begin with you. All the controversy and everything surrounding Ray Lewis. What is their mindset heading into Sunday?
Well, I mean, this is kind of Ray's last ride, and I think it has been emotional for these guys. They've constantly talked about throughout this playoffs that they want to send Ray out on top. But I also think this has put a lot of pressure on some of these guys. Most notable, I mean, Ray Rice, who's Ray Lewis's closest friend on the team. I think it's put upon him that he wants to be the guy that helps get Ray that championship, and he struggled a little bit in these playoffs. And I think it's because of the pressure of the Ray Lewis retirement. So I think it helps some guys, but I think sometimes it also hurts them.
That's really interesting. Ray Lewis, though, he's had a really great playoff so far. He leads a team with 44 tackles. Now, Mike, let's go to you. Ray Lewis taking all the attention, but there are other linebackers in this matchup that can really have an impact. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's a disrespect thing to the 49ers linebacker pair of Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman, because Ray Lewis has earned this. I mean, he's arguably the greatest inside linebacker in the history of the game, but I think when we look at, if we were to rank the top 3 inside linebackers in this game, Ray Lewis might be 3rd at this stage of his career. So Patrick Willis may even be 2nd. I think Navarro Bowman, now still early in his career, but has a couple All-Pro honors, is a dominant force, makes a lot of plays around the line of scrimmage. And if you look at the end of the NFC Championship game, who was that guarding Roddy White? It was Navarro Bowman breaking up the pass on 4th and 4 to basically send them to the Super Bowl.
It's interesting, though, you talk about Patrick Willis and Ray Lewis, two totally different kind of guys, because Willis is a little bit more on the quiet side, and Ray Lewis, as we know, he's pretty vocal. So now this is going to be a very physical matchup. You know, we had Ravens safety Bernard Pollard talking about the safety of the game, and then, you know, guys like Ed Reed came out on Thursday, said he's really not happy with all the fines that he's been hit with this season. $125,000 and more in fines this season. Do you think that's a reason why he's been a little bit quiet this playoff?
Oh, it has to be in the back of his mind. I mean, this is also the league that'll try to have him suspended for a game as well. So he kind of feels like he's been targeted a little bit. And I think that's just part of the story. I think with Ed Reed sometimes that he feels that, you know, he can get in the minds of quarterbacks, and he feels that they go away from him a little too much. And once you watch the games, you can see that quarterbacks don't really attack him that much, which is one of the reasons he hasn't had an interception this postseason. But also, Reed sometimes puts himself in bad positions, and he's another guy that in big games will try to do a little too much, and I think that hurts him as well. But being in New Orleans, it's his hometown, I think that he could have a pretty big game in the Super Bowl.
And you could probably imagine he's going to have a lot of people out there rooting for him. Now let's talk about this matchup between the Ravens defense versus Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers offense. Everyone's talking about the read option and the pistol formation. So Mike, talk about this and how Colin Kaepernick, Frank Gore, what is their mindset and what is their strategy going up against the Ravens defense?
Yeah, I think it's a two-pronged issue for the Ravens defense, because when you look at defending the running game of the 49ers, you've always had to worry about Frank Gore. Now you have to worry about LaMichael James, but you have to do that with sort of one eye off to the side, making sure Colin Kaepernick isn't going 56 yards or 70 yards for a touchdown. And so it's very difficult. I think it's a huge part of this game. Not an overrated one. You know, it's one of those storylines we've heard a lot about, and sometimes those are overplayed, but I think even on plays when Kaepernick doesn't carry the ball, it's still an issue for the Ravens to defend.
And we were talking about this before off camera, that a lot of people don't realize that the 49ers is really a run-first team. They're going off the legs of Frank Gore, but Colin Kaepernick, he provides that extra presence because he's fast and he can also throw the ball. So talking about the Ravens defense, not a lot of teams have been able to stop this 49ers offense. What are they going to do?
Well, they're going to try to play disciplined football, and that's kind of what John Harbaugh has preached since he's gotten there. And this Ravens defense, they've had better days. You know, they aren't the top 10 ranked defense that they usually are every single season. They're older, they have injuries, they're not as fast as they were. So they really have to rely on their assignments, and I think that's why they think that they will be able to contain Kaepernick. I don't think they shut him down, but at least contain him.
In 3 playoff games this year, they're allowing 415 yards of total offense per game. Is that a result of the age, or is that just the guys that they were going up against?
Their philosophy is the typical bend but don't break, and they're content with, okay, some teams are going to drive the ball, and when you go against a Peyton Manning, you go against a Tom Brady, and even an Andrew Luck, they're thinking, okay, they're not going to be able to have 3 and outs on every single down. But when they get into the red zone, that's where they buckle down, and they've only allowed 4 offensive touchdowns in this playoff. So, yeah, they're not the 2000 Ravens defense where they are going in expecting to shut you out and shut you down. But they believe, well, you can get yards, but you're not going to score a lot of points against them.
They've only allowed 4 offensive touchdowns this
postseason.
This postseason, okay. So then let's talk about some of the 49ers threats. The receivers, Crabtree, then you got Vernon Davis. Randy Moss, what is his role going to be on Sunday?
Well, you know, Randy Moss's playing time has really spiked in the second half of the season because Mario Manningham and Kyle Williams are injured, and I think they went into the year sort of saving Randy Moss. You know, he'd caught a touchdown pass against Green Bay in the opener, but was pretty quiet for a lot of the year, and now in a one-game situation, there's really nothing to save him for. I think the Ravens are going to dictate really what Randy Moss does, because it's really a situation of picking your poison. You know, if they defend Crabtree well and defend Vernon Davis well and Delaney Walker, there will be opportunities for Randy Moss to make, but I don't think he's the focal point of this game plan at all at this stage of his career.
And also in the locker room, his role has also changed. I mean, this is a guy that's 35 years old. He was a bit of a diva, as most wide receivers are, but he's also served as a mentor to Michael Crabtree as well, and he understands that. So now let's switch onto the other side. You know, Joe Flacco, I feel like he doesn't get a lot of love. I was there at Media Day, and I walked right up to him and I started asking him questions, usually at the quarterbacks. Last year, Tom Brady, you know, it was, 20 rows deep. Talk about the wide receivers and who you think is going to make the most impact.
Yeah, and this is also, I think, not only is Flacco underrated, I think their receiving crew is also underrated, and they have a little bit of experience with an Anquan Bolden, but they have a lot of speed with Torrey Smith. And when the last time the Ravens played a pure dome game where it was enclosed in turf, it was back in St. Louis last year, and Torrey Smith had 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. And he is a guy, he's sort of that track type guy that when you get him in an enclosed where it's no wind and it's on that turf where he's fast, he can really make an impact.
So Torrey Smith is that fast, go-to, prototypical wide receiver, but Anquan Bolden is kind of like the clutch guy that might make some big plays. He's having a good postseason. He's averaging 92 receiving yards per game. All right, gentlemen, a lot of good stuff, but give me one key factor that's going to be really crucial on Sunday. Jameson?
Yeah, and I think the key factor is the Ravens' offensive line. They really reshuffled, and this is a group that only played together as this starting lineup since the start of the playoffs, and they protected Joe Flacco well. Will they protect him enough in this game? I think that's the key, is they have the speed on the outside where they'll get open. Flacco has the strong arm, but can they give him enough time to throw?
I'm sure the offensive line really appreciates that, because those guys never get any love. Mike, the key for Sunday?
Well, one of them for me that I haven't talked a ton about, Prim, is the ability of Carlos Rogers, the cornerback of the 49ers, to move inside against 3 wide receiver sets and defend probably a lot of Anquan Bolden. And that's a tough thing to do. When you look at Flacco really being the difference, I think, for the Ravens in the playoffs, he has 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. Previous playoff games, the numbers were 8 and 8. So he has really turned it on. And to stop that, I think Rogers has to really buckle down in the slot and not let Anquan Bolden or whoever's in that area get free and make plays down the field.
Pretty interesting. You guys mentioned a unit and a player that really hasn't gotten a lot of attention this whole week. So, all right, prediction.
I think I've doubted Flacco in the past, and I've doubted him during the playoffs, but I think it's time to stop doubting him. I think the Ravens win 34-27.
Very interesting. He said that he was a elite quarterback heading into this season. He is the only QB in NFL history that has not only reached the playoffs in the first 5 seasons, but also has won a playoff game in his first 5 seasons. Mike, prediction?
Yeah, I took the 49ers 27-23, and I think Colin Kaepernick is getting a lot of hype, but I don't think people really understand he's not just good for a guy who only has 9 starts. He's been the best player on the field in games against New England when Tom Brady was there, against Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, even against Matt Ryan, who had that great start. By the end of the game, everyone was talking about Colin Kaepernick, and I think that's probably going to be the case again.
I'm going to go with the 49ers. I know my producer didn't really ask my prediction. I'm going to go with the 49ers because I think that Colin Kaepernick and that read option is going to be really crucial. But the winner, I think, is going to be the Harbaugh family. Jackie and Jack Harbaugh, the parents of John and Jim Harbaugh, said they're going to be here. They're going to be rooting for their sons, but neither one of them is going to be wearing that 49ers red or the Baltimore Ravens purple, so it should be pretty fun. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Mike Sando, Jamison Hensley, this is now between the two of you, 25 Super Bowls, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's very impressive. Enjoy the game. Super Bowl 47 on Sunday between the 49ers and Ravens. I'm Prim Saripapat for all your coverage leading up to Sunday and after the game. Keep it logged on right here on ESPN.com.